Welcome to Evolving Women, where we talk real invention, purpose in midlife, and what it means to rise into who you were always meant to be. I'm Teresa Lisum, and today's conversation is one more reminder. It's never too late to rewrite your story. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Evolving Women. I'm Teresa Lisum, and I'm here today with Gina Torres Perryman. Thank you so much for being here, Gina.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so thrilled to have you here. So, we're just going to go ahead and get started right off the bat. Please give us a little bit of a peek into how you got to where you're at today. You are a life's transition coach. I know you weren't always a coach, and it's something you've moved into, but I really want to hear a little bit about your story, your journey, how you got to this moment in time.
Yes. Like many people, I've, done some reinventions and made some pivots, but actually I don't come from a strong career background. I actually stayed home with my kids for many years and
Mhm.
I hadn't finished my bachelor's degree. So the kids were getting older. I was like, man, I need to get this schooling under my belt if I want to do something with my life. So I went back. I got my bachelor's degree when I was 40 in Latin American studies, and I ended up working as an international student advisor in higher education for many years. And in that role, I then transitioned to a role at the same school as a success coach. And while I was there, I attended a workshop that someone was talking about life design. So we went through this 2 full days of some deep work of being connected to your inner self, self-discovery. And
Mhm.
I came out of there and I was like, I want to do what this guy does. I want to do life design coaching. I want to be a coach. And it wasn't that I wasn't super fulfilled. I think I've gradually along my life's journey been listening to what was maybe even more fulfilling, than what I was doing. And that is what happened there. And so I decided to follow that path and became a coach.
Love that. And I applaud you for, as an older adult, stepping into higher education and getting yourself your degree. And I think that's a beautiful opportunity to say, like, we can do anything we want at any time in our life,
And I
irregardless of our age.
And I do want to add, I was taking part-time classes online for a while as I built up to get the degree. Then it came time that I had to actually go to campus. And I
Hmm.
have to be honest, I cried the first day because I was like, all these young people, I really, and I had a lot of anxiety I've dealt with in my life that's kind of held me back along the way for in different areas. So I also faced that. So there was a couple of other
Hmm.
things like buried underneath that
Yeah.
I really had to work towards to get there. So I just wanted to add that little piece. It's
Well,
not always
no,
easy.
I'm glad you did because you were feeling anxious. You were an older person compared to
Hmm.
the young
Yeah,
kids that were coming in from high school, and maybe, yeah, all these emotions going through your head, but you did it anyway.
yeah.
I mean, I think some people feel that they see these people who are maybe more successful, whatever that definition is, than them, or they got a degree or they did it, and they're like, oh man, they did it so easily. I mean, look at them. And they forget that there's these underlying background stories going on for them, just as they are in our own
Hmm.
head.
Hmm. Because we're not always talking about that. We're talking about the successes. We're
Yes,
not
yes.
always um, talking about the ugly truths and the hardships. So,
Right, right.
yeah.
Especially on social media, everybody
Oh,
wants to see the good facade where there's things going on that help people get there. I think we forget that everybody's at different stages in their life, on their journey, in their successes, and we might be comparing ourselves, who's just at the beginning point, to somebody who's way farther along in their self-growth journey. And we can't compare, but yet
yeah.
we do.
I know. And to be honest, like I said, I was going part-time for a while. I had forgotten, like, the more we're talking about it, like how long it actually took me for those final two
Mm,
years of my education. And I'm someone like I'm an instant gratification gal. My husband, on the other hand, he can plan years in advance, take his little steps. And like,
Hmm.
it was hard for me to be so patient in the process as well. So
Mm.
to your point about, making your goals and following them and things. So yeah.
And to stay on that
Yeah,
track. Not all of
exactly.
us can stay on that track. I mean, life gets in the
Right.
way in so many ways for us, especially as adults with kids at whatever age they're at. Things can distract us so easily. I know I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for you to come back and continue that path, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you. Thank
fabulous. I
you.
love that. And I too stayed home with my kids for 7 or 8 years. So I was outside the workforce for that long. And to this day, I have no regrets about that. It was one of the best
Mhm.
things I ever did. And I don't know how women nowadays, moms nowadays, do it where they're working, they got the young kids at home, they get all these things going on. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know if I could have done that. So, anybody out there who's doing that, you are my hero because it's a lot of work, and women nowadays do so many things. We spin
Mhm.
so many plates.
Mhm.
Do we have to? I don't know. That's something I want to come back around to is one of your statements that I love, what I read on your LinkedIn profile. You deserve to live a life you love. I absolutely love that. It rings true for me. And I see so many people who are not living a life that they love. When we are at that young adult stage or we've just graduated and we're stepping into adulthood, maybe we have a young child or two, and we just like take whatever, like whatever
Mhm.
job comes along,
Mhm.
we know we need it to
Mhm.
survive and we just take it. And then we might stay there for longer than we should. And then it's like we're not happy, we're
Mhm.
stressed, we're anxious, we're, taking it out on other people. I mean,
Mhm.
we all see that play out in the
Sure.
world.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And you help people find something that they're gonna love and they're gonna look forward to and they're gonna
Yes.
want to go spend their time every day.
Yes, I got sidetracked when you were talking and forgot you were mentioning design a life you love. And so that came about from me working with, in the beginning of being an entrepreneur and doing my messaging, wanting women everywhere to know that they are worth
Mm,
making whatever changes they want to make to live into their fullness to that was part of my journey too, was believing
hmm.
in myself, knowing
Yeah.
I was worthy of having a life where I could be successful. I wasn't sure either what success looked like for me. I didn't have parents that went to college. I was, first
Mhm.
generation college graduate, and I just kind of did what was in front of me. So it's just so powerful to me, to that whole phrase that I love, design a life you love. And like you said, we can't all, to your point before, is like we can't all have this dream job and it's so great and we're living our dream. We have to do things sometimes that are harder, or it's just we only have so many resources or time,
Mhm.
and but
Mhm.
doesn't mean we can't still build in certain areas to create more of a life that we love. So
Yep, I love that. So
yeah.
you're right. There are times when we do have to take whatever
Yeah.
is available for certain reasons, but do we have to stay there? If we feel stuck, like we maybe can consider some other
Hmm.
possibilities.
And
And
part of what I'm creating my own life design framework that I work with women in, and worthiness, helping
Mhm.
women know they're worthy. That's one of the pieces.
Mm.
But another piece is community and belonging. And so when we are in those places of not yet where we want to be, or our ideal career or life, having our women, our family, our friends, and our supports, even our children. My son has been
Mhm.
a huge encouragement to me, my adult son, in my as a life coach in my being an entrepreneur because it's very stressful. Any entrepreneurs out there, but having your community and that sense of belonging is really going to help you get through. And not just, well, let me just add, like when you are in community and feel like you're belonging, it's people that want to see you succeed. It's not just your
Mm-hmm.
family that you're
Love
close
that.
with or your friends that tell you all the things, but it's when you know in your heart that you can really trust them and they have your best interest and really want you to succeed.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I will say sometimes that's easier said than done. When I was a young mom at home, not working, I felt isolated. I felt
Yeah.
like I could not, there was nobody my age that I could connect with. I mean, was that true for me, or was that just a story I was clinging to at that point in time?
Mhm.
But I did feel lonely for a period of time, and it was hard for me to reach out and find another mom with some kids, in a
Yeah.
similar scenario. So, what's your thoughts on that for somebody who's watching this,
Ooh.
who that sounds delightful? And yes, we all need community, and we all want somebody who can uplift us, but what if we don't have one right now?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I just assume people have that in their lives, and that's not a correct assumption. Um, it's it takes vulnerability in depending in what way, but to maybe reach out to someone first. Or if
Mm-hmm,
someone's reached
mm-hmm,
out to you and you're not quite sure,
mm-hmm.
you don't know if you can trust them. I mean, I used to
Right.
compare myself to other moms all the
Oh,
time. Like, oh, she's
yeah.
the cool mom, or she has everything together, and her kid is like, nice
Yeah.
and calm when we're getting on play dates, or I see they're out. I'm like, my kids are nuts and they're loud. I'm like, well, I am their mother. But, it's like, trusting yourself and trusting the goodness of other people, being vulnerable, putting yourself out there and taking that risk because you're not going to know if you're going to gel with somebody or get along unless you try. And I notice that these days even in my life as I meet new women and forming new friendships, we'll get together and have coffee and then I realize, hey, like we don't have as many things in common as I thought, but it's not like I don't want to be their friend or it was a
Right.
waste of time, but there are certain people that you might form a really strong bond with, but it takes that little discomfort that seems to be the
It
theme,
certainly
in the
does.
beginning.
It certainly
Um,
does. And I know I read in Mel Robbins, her Let Them theory. Have you
mhm,
read that book? Oh, excellent book. I absolutely love that thing. But she talked all about adult friendships. And
mm,
she was talking about things that I had never thought about. But
mhm,
after I had an awareness around it, it was like, oh my God, that is so true. Like
mhm,
adults, it is uncomfortable and you do have to put effort into it and you do have to throw yourself out there and be vulnerable and take a chance. And it's not like when we're going through school and we have these built-in friends that
mm,
go with us
that's
through
true.
college. And then once we leave that cocoon of friends,
Mhm.
we're like, okay, now who
Yeah.
do we connect with? So it does take effort.
It does. And I grew up in the church community, and so that was
Mm,
another space that was just there for me, like you said, with school, it's just built in. I
hmm.
don't go to church anymore, so I don't
Yeah.
have that community that's there for me. So I have to make more of an effort to build the community that I want. So, you can find tons of meetup groups and
Hmm.
socials and even things online, since COVID, like we talked about before,
Yeah.
there's so many ways to connect with other women and people.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful for online and technology and social media. I mean, that's where most of my connections come from nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm fairly new to this location. I moved cross country about 5 years ago, and I have a small network of friends, but not like what I left behind.
Yeah.
So I am so grateful for people such as yourself that I've connected with and created these friendships. So, yes, they're on a screen, but they're no less a friendship, I believe, as if I was sitting across from
Mhm.
somebody at a coffee shop.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
And so it is easier nowadays, I think. Back when I was a young mom, there was no such thing as the internet that we publicly knew about, but and it was a little bit tougher. But I remember taking the kids, putting them in like a swim class and going, like you put yourself in these situations that, like you said, might be uncomfortable, but you just do it. You have to
Mm-hmm.
do it
Mm-hmm.
if
Yeah.
that's your end goal.
Right. Exactly.
I
Exactly.
focus on that end goal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it's easier to go through that discomfort.
Yeah.
So, who do you mostly work with in
Mm,
terms of you're helping women make that transition to
yeah.
something more aligned?
Absolutely. Well, I do contract with a coaching company, so they work with lots of big companies and organizations. So I work with women in those spaces. They are employed. A lot of them are in corporate or different positions,
Hmm.
maybe leadership. Um, but sorry, I lost my train of thought. So yeah,
It's
so I work
okay.
with them, and but not but, and in my private practice, I work with the same types of women, basically women with the same stuff going on. The women from the coaching company, they're in a transition, they're in a life or career transition. Maybe they've maxed out how far they actually want to go in their certain career. Maybe they're burnt out. Maybe they're younger and got their degree and started working and is like, this is not what I thought it was going to be, And so I work with women in all of my coaching with the company and my private practice with women in those spaces. They can be considered in between spaces. I met with
Mhm.
someone a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about feeling like she just needed some direction and wasn't sure where her career was going, feeling like AI was coming into her space.
Yeah.
Should she totally shift to something different? So we had those conversations. Yeah, so those are the women I work with.
And sometimes we just need a little hand holding to kind of have a different perspective and point of view that's outside our head. Like, we
Yeah,
get so caught up in the stories in our head, and we can't really see beyond that. So to have an
absolutely.
outside person kind of flip some things or offer some new insights
Mhm.
or just kind of give us some direction, I think, and you tell me, once women kind of have that little bit of help, then they can probably just keep on going on that momentum.
Yeah, well, I call that the untangling. So,
Mm.
our first session will come together and they'll start talking and, I'll ask them what brought them to coaching, what they hope to get out of the coaching sessions. And sometimes they'll even say, "Oh, I'm talking so much." And so I'm like, well, that's the point, really,
Hmm.
But, we talk about how like you said, there's so much going on in our heads. We're telling ourselves stories. We're sometimes our brains are lying to us, We're
Yes,
like, well,
yes.
I'm not going to be any good at that career, so I may as well not
Yep.
even try it. That's not necessarily true. So it's this untangling and it's a almost a reflection. And also people will also say to me like, "Oh, it's so great to talk to someone that's not family, not a coworker.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know your story. We
Right.
are trained in a, non-judgment to have a non-judgmental environment. So I'm just going to be listening and listening for cues and different things. So it's so much of just getting out of your head. And a lot of
Hmm.
times, even after a first session, people will say like, "Oh my gosh, I feel so much better." Or as they're talking, they're getting
Hmm.
clarity.
That's what I was
And
gonna say. Yeah.
I know I'm talking a lot. I want to just add one thing is that I noticed that some of my women that are working, 9 to 5, extremely busy, they will say just setting the coaching session and having the session with me, it's making them think about these things. So like otherwise
Mm-hmm.
they're not spending the time. They're working, they're
Yeah.
on the go, they're cooking meals,
Right.
they're
Right.
commuting. So it's really neat to see how they honor themselves and just setting an appointment and keeping it and then having that space to think through some things.
Yeah, I totally get that. I get my clarity as well in the talking,
Hmm.
in conversation with other people, and then insights come to me. So yeah,
Yeah,
that is my favorite way of being productive, I guess.
sure.
But I love when you said our brains lie to us. Now, if you first hear that, you've never heard anything like that. It's almost hard to believe.
Yeah.
If you spend some time with it, it's those stories, it's that narrative. It's could be those negative, that
Hmm.
self-talk. We might have heard it referred to as negative self-talk. And it just goes on and on. And we have to understand that we can decide whether to change those narratives or not.
Right.
Like the whole you mentioned worthiness
Yeah.
and belief in yourself. Oh my God, I struggled with those as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's when sometimes when I'm working with a client on maybe like blocks or what's getting in the way of moving forward or making a decision or trying, even just trying something new, it's that I'll question, like, I'll say, what are you thinking or what comes up? And if they say something, and then I don't necessarily say, oh, your brain's lying to you, but I will ask, how true is that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because then they have to actually think like, well, it could be true, but doesn't mean it is true? So it's so tricky. Like there's so much mindfulness and mind things at play in all of
Oh
this.
my gosh, so
Yeah.
many layers. But yeah, I found that useful as well. I mean, you can use that on yourself.
Oh
Is
yeah.
that true? Like you're unworthy, whatever. Is that true? Like, is it
Mhm.
true? Like, what hard evidence do you have that that is true? And
Mhm.
if you go through that process, you find that 99% of the time it's not true.
Mhm. And then you can tell your son, then you go through that question asking, get some clarity and then come up with a true statement
Right,
for
right.
yourself and like as an instead of.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
have an example, but
And make a new decision, make a new choice for
exactly.
yourself. The
Yeah.
word permission is always floating around me for some reason, like giving ourselves permission to make a different choice, to create a different story for ourselves, to step into a new job or career,
Hmm.
to make a decision to be uncomfortable while
Hmm.
we try something new. So it's all about giving ourselves permission. We don't have to wait for anybody outside of us to give us permission.
That's a big word for me too. I don't know if we talked about this before, but that's one of my huge words. And I use it also with giving yourself permission to change, to allow the
Mm,
change. Because some people, they don't even realize they're holding themselves back in
yeah.
this place.
Yes,
And then
yes.
also, it goes along with some of the work I do is being curious. So give
Mm,
yourself permission to be curious about something, even if you don't end up doing it. And I will add, just since we're talking about this, I will remind people that just because you're thinking about a possibility doesn't mean you're married to it. It doesn't mean you have to
hmm.
go that direction. Because
Right.
some people won't even think about something or a possibility or being curious about something because it's too scary and it's like feels like they're committing to it. So it's getting a little bit down the road a little, but still with that permission of just, give yourself that permission to be curious and you don't have to take it so seriously when you're doing all this, I call information gathering about yourself and
Yes,
where you want
yes,
to go.
yes. That's beautiful, beautifully said. But give yourself permission to even think about the idea of
Yeah.
changing.
Yes.
I mean, that's just like a little baby step. Just
I
like,
know.
what would happen if, like, I wonder if, like, so that curiosity is
Mm-hmm.
a powerful word, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's just kind of in there with the work that I do and being curious about yourself, and all the different just different aspects and areas.
Yeah. And curious, you can even turn that outwards, curious about the people around you. Because
Hmm.
sometimes we have the stories in our head that really are true about people around us.
That
But if
too.
we turn that curiosity out to them, like, I wonder why they're doing that. Why don't I ask them? Like something as simple as that.
Sure.
instead of
Sure.
just going through the motions and falling into the default way of responding.
Mm-hmm.
If we step into the curiosity mode instead, there might be a beneficial outcome from that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So many good things we're talking about. Let's see, a few things I wanted to come back to. Do you find, and I'm guessing you do, but it almost seems like we all seem to get to a point, at least as women, if I'm talking from a woman's perspective, because that's the only one I got right now. We get to a point in our life where, like, oh, like, is this all there is? Like, am I going to be stuck here the rest of my life? Like, I need something more impactful. I just it seems like a lot of conversations I have, we all get to an age, whatever that age is, we're like, I'm done. This is, I need to pivot. I need to step with curiosity into something else. I need to do some exploring. Do you find that with your clients?
So I was cleaning my desk off this morning. I had lots of clutter, I will say, but I will write down sometimes on sticky notes what my clients say to me. So I remember
Mm-hmm.
these pain points and these, what's they're struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one from a while ago. I'm surprised I still had it. And it was from one of my younger clients. I think she was in like maybe her late 20s or something. And that is exactly what I had. I mean, I just looked at it this morning. That's exactly what I had written on the note. Is this all there is to life?
Mm-hmm.
The working, she had
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
education, she
Yeah.
had the job, she had the career, she had the money.
Mm-hmm.
And even some people with that life, like it's comfortable, they're very unhappy. So
Mm.
just because you have the comfort and you have the means doesn't mean you're going to have that life that you love. It's very interesting, some of these conversations I'm having with people.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sure.
so that's wild that you said that because I just seen that this morning. So
And
yeah,
I love that it was from a younger
yeah,
person, a younger woman. And I just kind of wish I had known some of this
I
stuff when
know.
I was at that point in time.
Hmm.
My life, I mean, I love my life. I have a delightful life that's beautiful, but to have known that back then, my life might be even better. I might have gone in a different direction. And it took me my whole life to get to that understanding.
Yeah.
And so I'm almost kind of jealous of younger women in particular who get it, or at least are asking the questions early in life.
Hmm. And it made me think of one of my favorite books ever is called Life is in the Transitions by
Mm.
Bruce Feiler. I'm sorry, I'm not saying if I'm not saying that correctly. But he talks about, you know, maybe our parents' generation or something like
Mhm.
the career trajectory at least was very linear, and you
Yeah.
just like you go to school or you have your profession and you gradually move up and you stay there and he talks about how everything's it's not going in that direction. It can be circular, it can just be, windy. And so speaking to that of, finding your way and changing it up and women now that are asking those questions younger than maybe we were asking those
Hmm.
questions. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I love that. Yeah, linear. That's kind of the path I saw as a younger person. Oh, you go to college, you have a family, blah, 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 whatever.
yeah.
And then you retire and then you start having fun.
Oh, Teresa, I'm not doing that. No,
I
no,
know,
ma'am.
yay, because we don't have to. Why can't we have fun all along the
Exactly.
way?
Because we
You know,
deserve to live a life we love, right?
yes,
I mean,
to live a life, to live a
oh,
life instead of waiting
yes.
for something else to happen, waiting for somebody to give us permission,
Hmm.
waiting for the right opportunity,
So
waiting
good.
for whatever.
Yeah. Yep. I
Yeah,
love
why,
it.
we've all heard those stories where people did wait and it didn't turn out good when they finally got to that point.
Sure. Sure.
Like their health issues or whatever.
Yeah.
And as a teacher in my previous career, I saw that several times.
Hmm.
Well, when I retire, and then they
Sure. Yeah.
got there and like, it didn't turn out like they
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
And it was just sad to kind of witness that. But yeah, those having this information early could be a game changer.
Hmm.
So that's exciting when young people get it. I just absolutely love that. Love, love, love it. So if someone's resonating with your message, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, I am Gina the Life Coach on all platforms except LinkedIn. I'm the name that you mentioned in the beginning, Gina Torres Perryman. Would love to connect. Feel free to connect there, send me a message. I'm on Instagram. I'm at Gina the Life Coach. My website is ginathelifecoach.com. So feel free to reach out in any of those places. Would love to connect and see how I could support you or just be your biggest cheerleader.
Oh
So,
yeah, I love cheerleading. Love cheerleading people along as well. That's
yeah.
brings joy to my heart. Is there any one piece of advice that you want to share before we sign off?
Hmm. I would say we didn't talk about this. This is one of my big components that I bring into my coaching is be kind to yourself and
Yeah.
show yourself, if you can, or maybe you can learn about it, some self-compassion. How would you, if your friend's going through something or trying to figure something out, how do you talk to them?
Yes.
Do you berate them? Do you call them names? Do you tell them they're stupid?
Yeah.
Do you say like, you should have your act together by now? No.
hmm
So be kind to yourself as you're figuring out your path and your journey.
I love that. So
Thanks.
wise because we do seem to do that to ourselves, don't we?
Well, and I will tell you the way I know about there is selfcompassion.org, I believe, with Kristen Neff. The only reason I know about it is because my therapist told it to me many years ago that I should check out the self-compassion books and things. So, yeah.
Good
Yeah.
way to end on. So thank
Yes.
you so much. Thank you, Gina. I so appreciate you and your wisdom and what you're doing out in the world. And I'm going to use my little sign here to help me remember
That is so
ask people to
cool.
subscribe, share, comment. If you found this helpful and you know of somebody else that you'd love to share it with, please do so. All of Gina's contact information will be attached with this video, so look for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Gina. Thank you so much to everybody that's been listening in. We so appreciate you. Go out there and be kind to yourselves, and we will see you the next time. Bye bye.